So, well, anyways, welcome to Rockin' the Ring. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
We've talked about this for a few months
Uh-huh.
as you went through some transitions.
Yeah,
So,
you say that.
so, so first up, introduce yourself. Tell people a little bit about you. I mean, we won't go into all your life story, but what got you to
But,
professional wrestling?
all right, so my name actually is Andrew. Really, wrestling goes back as far as I can remember. Literally, my earliest memories, like I'm laying on a bed and I can't move because I guess I'm a baby or whatever. And there's just wrestling on the TV. I don't care what my parents are doing. There's just wrestling on the TV. So like that had my full attention. And just in most any struggle or turbulence in my life has always brought me back to wrestling one way or another. So I knew that like whether I was going to be in the ring or around wrestling in general, like it's where I was gonna be.
Huh? So, what is your earliest memory?
My
Your earliest time, your attention and say, "Hey, Sam, you're me. This is what I'm going to do." Early, each
I've got a
who
lot
got
of
your attention? It's so
distortion.
great.
I can't really hear what you're
It was
asking
great.
me.
Uh, I mean, looking back at your time, when you were that toddler,
Uh,
the physicality, or was there a specific wrestler that had attention and said, "Hey,
so
watch me"?
so for the longest time, like it was just wrestling. It wasn't really until I guess as far as on TV, Kane was having a funeral for The Undertaker on SmackDown. That's when wrestlers in my brain started having names and I could start like recognizing and remembering. Like before that, it was just wrestling and it was kind of just like walking into the bar and there's a random MMA fight. You know what's going on, but usually don't know those people. And I'm not speaking for everyone, obviously. There's plenty of MMA fans, but yeah.
I mean, looking at as your characters developed over the years, I can see somewhat Kane influence without the mask until the Ghostmaker appeared.
Oh yeah. There
Big
was
man.
definitely more Undertaker for sure, but once the mask came around, I did get a lot of Kane and Abyss comparisons.
Yeah, nothing wrong with either one of those fellas. I mean, they've
Not at all.
done their rightful share of things through the years. I mean, it was nuts.
Mhm.
Chris Park, producer for
Right.
WWE. You know, somebody I would have never. I mean, just think
Hmm.
he's a producer of some of the top-notch matches going
Exactly.
right now in the WWE.
Hmm.
You know, it's. I mean, you would. Looking back 25 years ago when he first came on the scene, I would not expected that at all. But he's really reading the sheets saying he's producing this match, that match, and you're like, okay, this guy's got the mind for the business, which you do, and I think that's what I'm seeing. I see at Grindhouse with
Thank you.
you
I definitely try.
with even now you're in a tag team with Leo,
Yeah.
and that's your job in that tag team. But
Hmm.
I've seen you work with other guys and showing them this is the ropes. This is what you need to know.
Right.
You
Uh,
know,
I was just gonna say they like to keep me around because I find the other ways to explain things to people when they're having a hard time understanding. I'll literally come with the most out of the box, out of nowhere, either like metaphor or just comparison that completely out of context makes no sense. So I can't even give you an example right now, but I just have a way of speaking and just turning little light bulbs on.
well, I mean, you've been around long enough to do that too. You know, you are one of the veterans over there. So
I
there
would
is
never call
respect.
myself that, but thank you.
Well, I mean, you've been doing it a lot longer than the majority over there. Okay, I mean,
Okay,
you're still young, but
I'm a
you've
youngin'
got
for sure.
a background and seeing things, and being able to. I mean, you got Ronnie over there, you got
Mhm.
Myron Reed, you got Mitch, all
Got
different, and then
multiple,
yourself helping out
yeah,
in some classes.
different
So you got
generations all coming
yeah,
together.
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Between
So all
everyone that they
different.
have teaches probably over 100 active years of wrestling experience teaching these kids
Yeah, for
that
sure.
everyone put
And,
together.
yeah, I mean, and you can see it in the guys and gals over there grasping it quicker than a lot of schools
Hmm.
that I've seen guys and gals come out of, and you're like,
Yep.
and it's the basic fundamentals, but it's there ingrained. It's taught in the ring in a match
Hmm.
in front of a crowd. Some of it,
Because
not
it's
all of it,
also
but
not just it's not just the fundamentals for wrestling, it's for life, and then bringing them both. Like if you want wrestling to be your life, then you're going to have to completely envelop it, and that's what we're teaching them here.
right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, and a lot, and you've seen people move on from there that are doing well on the independents. You've got
Hmm.
people you've got Billy Starks that's went on to
Hmm.
AEW ROH umbrella.
She's all there.
I mean, and you got other people that are being watched. You got
Hmm.
Larkin that's going through the Grindhouse and now working through OVW, working some stuff
Yeah.
for the NWA. You've got guys like I said, like Myron, that's doing all kinds of different stuff
Mhm.
with MLW to
Right.
GCW
He's
to a
just
lot of
like the
everything.
top right now. Like forget the PLEs. Like Myron's at the top of independent wrestling.
Right. Phenomenal young man. I've been
Absolutely.
watching him for a few years, and I'm like, wow. I mean, what is his gimmicks? The goat. He is the goat or something.
The
It's
young
something
goat,
goat.
greatest of all
You
time.
know.
And he's the youngest one.
Yeah. And he's proven it every time I see him in the ring.
He does. He absolutely does. I called
All
myself
right. Well, back to
405
your
Live because I was, actively suicidal and he'd be doing jumps I would never do. So
right.
he's out there killing
And,
it, man.
and- right.
For real.
And then, but going back to yourself though,
Uh-huh.
you before you got to Grindhouse, where you at for the crowd to know your history, a little bit of your history going back.
A little bit of my history before Grindhouse. I'm sorry, we had some more.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Your history before Grindhouse.
Okay. So before Grindhouse, I mean, I guess we can rewind all the way back. I started, and I'll just speed up to before Grindhouse. Uh, I first started pretty much fresh out of high school because, like I was saying, I knew that this is what I was gonna do. Um, that year, I was working a seasonal shift at Toys R Us, and my seasonal manager at the time, Corey, he told me, or he heard me talking about wrestling. He was like, "Yo, I'm a wrestler," and most like any fresh out of high school kid that's already got ahead about him because of his in school wrestling career and then his acting career, and teenagers know everything. This manager at Toys R Us tells you, "Yo, I'm a wrestler. I can help you out." You're just like, "Oh, okay, dude. Like, sure, all right." But no, he humbled me a little bit, took me out. We got we got going, started training me. I did a few shows, but then it became a way more obvious the amount of training and cardio, obviously, that needed to be done. I wasn't not doing it, but it was just like almost an earth-shattering realization. Even though I had done wrestling in school, it's still a completely different animal, and everyone knows all about that. They talk about it all the time. the ring conditioning, taking the bumps, combining the two. It is a completely different animal. So then I started buckling down. I started training with Apollo Garvin, who you're familiar with at Grindhouse. Um, Trained with him for probably a year. We started doing a training class that originally was going to be a Tracy Smothers class, but I think he went and opened his school in Illinois at the time. Apollo took over that class and brought me in, and then that's actually when Mitch uh, got with Apollo, and we actually had a little bit going there at the New Albany production house. A lot of training, a lot of going on. So then, fast forward some, I hit kind of a level where it was almost kind of like my graduation, I would say. I kind of got a farewell match at the place that I was wrestling at the New Albany Production Center, for my first IWA match. I went there, I did a few matches. During this time, I'm starting to branch out on the road. My first matches in Ohio, uh, Illinois, just really starting to branch out more. I think I went to Tennessee a couple of times. Um, right around then is when I broke this shoulder. I started hitting some personal life turbulence, and then I kind of just scurried off for a couple years, did more of my life for a couple years because I jumped straight into wrestling. I was like, let's see what the rest of being an adult is. Like, I don't know. That might be responsible. Yeah, Tony. I did do with D1W. We were at the production house wrestling. I think we called it Destination One once it was there. Absolutely. Uh, but sorry, I saw the chat. I lost my train of thought. So then
Oh,
it
you're
was a. I just happened to show up. I was scrolling online. I knew I wanted to come back to wrestling at some point soon, and I was coming up with new logos and doing this and that. And I drew a particular logo that eventually evolved into my upside down Illuminati Disobey Eye. That's one of my best selling shirts. But originally it was pointed up and it was done a little different, and just different characteristics in it. And just as I was getting ready to start all the different other character development stuff that I would do with just the logo, I had seen a poster for a wrestling show at the arena with that exact logo. Now, while I was in that time away and finding myself, I kind of started believing in the power of following synchronicities. And so when I saw that logo, um, but like I don't know anybody at this wrestling show, but I just drew this logo out of my brain, and there it is. I guess I'm going to go to this show and see what's up. Um, so I go and I hang out. Um, I have a little whisper in my head, and it's drilled into everyone's head. Always bring your gear. Literally, this is my comeback to wrestling and the best parts of my career story. I brought my gear. Listen, guys, I brought my gear. Um, but I had zero intention of being on that show. It's just habit at that point. But I got there. I was hanging out. They needed lumberjacks. And it was a kendo stick lumberjack match. So I was like, I'm on that. I'm getting in there. I threw on all my gear. Everyone's staring at me like, who is this dude? Because I'm in all of my full singlet. I used to wear everything, and all the rest of the lumberjacks are just in their blue jeans and t-shirts. Like, okay. So they're just like, is this dude a fan? Like, what's his problem? But then I go, we have the match. It was a blast. Afterwards, I'm kind of just hanging out up at the top of the stairs, and I'm just watching everything. And I think the main event was happening. And Tough approached me, and he was like, "Are you ever gonna come back, or like, what are you doing for real?" And then he told me what he was doing with Grindhouse, what he wanted out of Grindhouse, and so then from there, I started coming on the Sundays, and then it really started picking up. Back then we did, I think we had actually 3 or 4 days a week training. The Grindhouse shows were weekly. It's a little bit of a different format, definitely more of a baptism by fire kind of deal. If you messed up on the show a little too much, you wrestled in front of nobody the next week. So it was a little bit different. But I really like the vibe that we have now that we've spent so long building up, and it's been because of these students and they're showing up that we have Grindhouse to where we are now. We have the once a month show, and they get a crowd, and a hot crowd that loves wrestling, to go out there and not just perform in front of, but the show is part of our school. So it's kind of like show day is the big test day, and they kill it every time, man.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I mean, that's what I'm saying. These guys and gals are putting their heart and souls out there. It shows that when they get to go to either Eastern Kentucky for companies, or they get to go to Southern Illinois for companies, or Central
Mm-hmm.
Indiana, and then if they get invited elsewhere,
Yep.
these guys are kicking for almost 4 straight at this point. And every month, maybe I've missed a handful of shows, but here's understanding. And and the storylines that are being told, that there's months now, storylines in the last years there. Even with it just being one show a month, there's the fans are, and that's who it pays. And when the fans are there, you just there, like you said, picking the building out. That's just 250, 300 people. Might not seem like it's long, but when they get the crowd and they're highly for each match, that's still people sitting there each match. I mean, I can't deny the hard work that goes in every month. I mean, I've been, let's say, going over there for 4 months, working a little bit behind the scenes with doing this with podcasting for the last few years with guys. Every one of them shown me heart more than I can even imagine. And I've been around WWE superstars
Mm-hmm.
when I first started going. When I was really getting back into wrestling, I mean, I took a long. I mean, and seeing it as when they trained, and seeing the difference in the attitudes.
Absolutely.
So, so we're going back to your injuries. I know you have more than a handful of injuries. This is
Yeah.
one thing you specifically said you wanted to touch on this evening. Floor's open.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you want me to give like a breakdown of everything or like
However you want to put it.
okay. So just kind of alongside all of the story that I've given. So like I mentioned, 2015 is when this shoulder happened. Um, Flash forward, I think it's not. I think it's 2019, uh, June, May. The surgery was in June. Um, the infamous Sid Vicious Jr., as everyone calls me because of it, um, did a jump to the outside in a very not smart fashion. Um, you hear me tell the story in a more comedic tone quite often. But it is what it is with a 500-pound man jumping off the top rope to the outside. Um, Things happened, and to not hurt other people, and in those moments of not hurting other people, you kind of forget about yourself. A last minute twist kind of had me looking down at my feet. At that moment, I saw my 2 feet hit the floor, and I heard 3 pops. So I knew that that was kind of it. That put me out for 6 months. Um, it actually wound up being more about 7, but it was a very turbulent 7 months because of just things that were going on in my life, personally, work life outside of wrestling. and then that broken leg. Um, that 7 months, there was a lot of there was way more moving than there should have been, and I spent 3 or 4 weeks living in my car during it as well. Um, but I kind of feel like the adults in holes, the book and movie holes about that. Like it kind of built character. There were times where it was really rough, and it would be pretty easy to be resentful about things, but I feel like I did a half decent job of getting through. Um, and I got through with the love of everyone there at Grindhouse, all the people that would come to see me across all the different shows. Um, Anytime I would be like, "Hey, this happened," I never begged for money ever. So anytime I'm in a pinch or I need something, I go out of my way. A lot of times it's making merch, but then other times I do things where like I'll cut a promo for you on anyone, a happy birthday promo, or she's just not that into you promo. Like there's been all kinds of ways that wrestling has, like I mentioned earlier, everything always comes back to wrestling when it has to do with either me surviving something or just grinding through, gritting my teeth and getting something done. It's wrestling is what gets it done. I feel like that was a half decent stopping point, but I was in the middle of a story. So, what was the question?
Yes. So you kind of broke it, and you had
Injuries, that's right.
and then you
Injuries.
what's that?
I said,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
And then
injuries. You got me back on topic. There we go. Um, so then I get back 6 months, 6, 7 months. I get back from having the broken leg, moving 5, 6 times in those 7 months. I really hit the ground running. I had just decided that there was no more time to waste with anything, because I was already hitting a really good stride with the 405 Live through Dillinger um, deal, and then I'm suddenly sitting out broken 6, 7 months. I gained a lot of weight from not just not working out anywhere near as much as I used to. I had to relearn how to walk during all of that. So literally the amount of calories my body burned by existing like dropped significantly. My body was storing almost everything I ate because there wasn't much to do but dumbbells. Um, and then getting through the learning how to walk process and doing that when you're pushing 600 pounds is I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I really hit the ground running. Like the day the doctor said I could start exercising like my lower body again, I was on it. The day he said he guesses I could get back in the ring, I was back in the ring. Um, really gung ho. And then let's see, that would be then we come to 2023, 2022, 2023. Um, I wind up getting rear-ended, uh, and in doing so, I went to get checked out at the hospital afterwards because of the neck pain and back pain. I didn't take it as seriously as first because professional wrestling, we have our bump card. They really aren't joking when they say like bumps are 25 to 35 mile an hour car crashes. Um, because the car accidents I've been in since I've been in wrestling, literally the day of, even the day after, there's no pain. But that fourth, fifth day, just like a big major brawling, no DQ, like hot dog and a handshake type match. You hear what I'm saying? Um, then I feel the car accident. So it's almost like our bodies have a way of protecting us. So I go and get checked out. Um, Somewhere between that wreck and the all of the time in my career, I've sustained, I think it was 5 herniated discs in my back, um, one in which is grinding up dust. Um, my leg that I was born 1 inch, or I was born a quarter of an inch longer, was almost an inch longer now just from being torqued from how big I was, wrestling, all of everything. Uh, uh, the shoulder, like I have the permanent cosmetic of just this sticking out, so like that makes the skin on my arm sore sometimes. Um, and then the vertebrae in my neck, your neck's supposed to kind of do this. Mine doesn't. It's a straight shot. Um, so there's probably more issues in there. Um, so when I learned all of that after the accident, I was already at a point where I had lost about 200 pounds because, like I said, I had hit the ground running after the broken leg. And then I decided I just really needed to buckle in, buckle down, focus. Like, this is more of a rehab time than getting back to where I was in my career time. Like, there will be another day I'm pedal to the metal, like, taking this on the road and doing the dang thing. But this started a more of a rehab period, and this was kind of me noticing it. Like in the letter that I posted, there was even a day like a running Rana from tiny little girl. I couldn't even stand up straight for it. So I knew that I needed to strengthen my back and actually take some more time for myself. And then, like I said, like I talked about, we teach the students, it's not just wrestling, it's life and how to intermingle the two. I'm over here trying to force wrestling because that's what I do, but my body's falling apart. I have an example to lead for these kids. So that's when I took another step back with my bookings and matches I would take, and the way I would work would become more character driven than it was previously. Not that I was ever not character driven, because I've never been any kind of super technical guy of any kind. I can go out there and roll and chain with you, but there's not going to be a Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart type wrestling happening. Um, so then I spend that time um, doing tag matches, multi-man matches, where like I can still get my chance to shine, I can still get my chance to dominate, show the power that I do have, uh, but I'm not endangering anyone in any sense of they have to worry about me protecting them. Um, I go through that process. I get a lot of my strength back. I get to where I'm actually doing things cardio wise, yoga wise, strength wise, just durability wise that I've never done before. Um, like most people would have never dreamed of Drew Dillinger doing an up and over, evasion in the corner. I do those when I'm working out now. Um, yeah, I know, big deal. We learned how to do an up and over, but for someone who like was almost 600 pounds, broke their leg, did all of this, and now an up and over is literally as simple as just leaving my feet and flexing my abs instead of jumping as hard as possible. Like, that's still a huge deal, and that is a lot of mental progress as well with like body dysmorphia and all of the different things. So like I said, bringing life into wrestling in all of the different ways that will make you not just a better wrestler, but a better person. So then
Right.
come forward to this past couple months. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep
Oh,
myself
you're
focused
good.
here.
No rush.
Uh, so then we get to just a couple months ago. I'm coming home from donating plasma. It's one of the things I've kind of picked up for a little bit of extra money to eat on while I'm not selling as much merch. I'm not on the road as much. I'm doing my inner work, like myself and my core. Um, there's a street here that gets super backed up because there is a bridge into Kentucky that cuts right through kind of the main street of this town. Um, and there's a particular light that there's three lanes. One goes straight, you got a right lane and a left lane. And this lane that goes straight stays backed up for 7 blocks during the busiest times of the day because it's a one lane street and it goes all the way down to the bridge. So I'm in the right hand lane that no one is in because you go to this light and turn right. Um, anyway, I'm approaching this stoplight to stop, and this girl turns left through this whole line of cars. It's backed up for blocks and just sprays and sprays and floors it, and just floors it right in front of me. Uh, so I wind up hitting her. Um, the airbag deploys. I get a little dizzy. I'm not sure. Being a wrestler and then talking about how car wrecks are a little bit different for us. I wasn't sure if I saw a concussive white flash or if I saw the airbag. So when the police got to me, I told him, "Hey, I'm on the spectrum, ADHD. The airbag hit me in the face. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can articulate well right now. I want to go get checked out." It was like, okay, so I get in the ambulance. I go. I get checked out. Um, while we're looking at everything, they get CT scans. And other things, some blood work. I actually find out that like my herniated discs look a lot better. Just a lot of overall improvement on most everything that they didn't really know I was looking for. Just again, peeking over their shoulder and looking at the charts, kind of deal. Um, but in doing so, we actually found a growth in my lung. Um, and there were a couple of my white blood cell counts that were just a little bit off. Um, it wasn't any kind of off to where they like rushed me right upstairs to biopsy me right then, but they did. They scheduled me for one, and they were like, "Hey, we want to watch this." Um, second follow up to, or first follow up to look at it again, see if it's growing before the biopsy. It did get a little bit bigger, but at that same time, my white blood cell counts are healthy, extremely healthy, and that is a newer update. My white blood cells are back to where they need to be. Um, so I'm actually really optimistic going into this biopsy now. It was just kind of a scary existential moment for me there for a minute because I was just putting in all this work, all this everything. I'm like, it's finally time to lock in, and what you doing in my lung, buddy? But
right?
yeah.
That would be cool story.
Yeah. So I really when they saw it at the ER for the wreck, they even said they were pretty sure it was a nodule, and with it being having the white blood cells are back, I'm fairly confident it's a nodule too. But obviously, anytime you have an appointment like this, always do your follow ups. I'm gonna get that biopsy here at the end of the month. Um, that biopsy is kind of going to decide a few different things, um, but none of which are a permanent leave from wrestling. Um, right now, you will still see me at and more than likely on every Grindhouse show for the rest of the year, uh, because Leo Grimm and I are the number one contenders for DWO's Tag Team Championships. Um, and you will still see me for probably a date or two of Generation Next that aren't announced yet. Just because everything I do have through the rest of the year, I am still doing, but they don't announce their cards in full. They like to create a little suspense. So,
That's Larry, correct?
yes, Larry D and Max Sled.
Yep.
So, come December, um, previously I was saying there was going to be a slowdown and me taking a leave from being on shows. I'm still kind of leaning towards that being the deal. Um, but this is not any kind of like crazy like I'm taking my ball going home or anything. I'm just finishing up fixing my body in all the ways that I didn't because previously it was deeply important to me that I was proving to myself that regardless of the stages I got signed to or put on, if I was still making my living from wrestling, I was still making it. So, unfortunately, that made me make a lot of silly decisions that I would frown upon anyone else making. You know, like rushing back from injuries, being way more happy to injure myself just to make sure no one else not just gets injured or is just slightly uncomfortable. So I kind of just need a lock in time where I'm not focused on what I will be doing in the ring and character work and the stories I'm telling with my promos. Because like you're aware, um, in part of the telling my story in wrestling as part of my therapy and making it my living and all of my bills. I tell stories that lead to merch drops or lead to special promos or do eventually tie into the Grindhouse promos, and then suddenly we have 10,000 views on a random promo where I'm chewing out Leo Grimm for being dumb. So
Right.
I just want to take the time to finish um, everything that I need to do with my body, and really fixing my back and getting my spine to where I don't have to be like this last run's gonna be my best. I can still do 5 or 6 more runs. I just need this last little moment to kind of finish this up and I don't know. Just put a stamp on the chapter, start writing a new book or something. Uh, but so really, just the Drew Dillinger GhostMaker that you know now, everyone knows now. will come to its own end in December, but overall isn't going anywhere, and I won't be either.
So do you look at it as maybe a great reset, possibly,
It could definitely be looked at that way.
after a break, of
I'm
course?
very much a fan of the art style of professional wrestling, where most everything is by ear. I know a lot gets out on the internet about the WWE script writers and the showrunners. Even with that, I do feel like a lot of people will be highly surprised with the amount of this business that is by ear because that's the art of it. And part of the art, um, I do feel like I will be feeling it out more as December draws nearer as to what the ending and or death needs to be. But
Right.
I'm not going
Okay.
anywhere.
Well, yeah, I can see that. I mean, like I said, you've taken a few breaks, but it's also been injury related. But you came back physically, mentally stronger on a personal level, then turn that into a character development
Hmm.
and everything. I mean, like you said, everything you post or you promo means something. It might not mean something today, but it might mean something 90 days from now. You know,
Exactly.
it builds that
The
story.
original time I ever used the GhostMaker for anything, it was a hashtag on a post of me punching someone in the face and knocking them out. Like I just clock them, they sack of potatoes, go down. Hashtag GhostMaker. Now it's an entire character, an entire gimmick, and I was making a living off of it. So I was saying a lot of this, the art of it is by ear. It's just capitalizing on it and how you move forward with it.
I mean, we've seen hints of the actual Ghost Maker character over the last few years when you were a
Hmm.
single wrestler before you even tagged with Saturn, you
Yep.
know, and you brought it a different way. Each time you brought that character out in
Hmm.
front of the fans, it's been a different iteration of it, but still the same. If that makes any sense,
Yeah.
you know. Like I mean, just a prime example is when you cornered Mercy Keller a few years back.
Hmm.
That was a scarier version of it at that point.
Uh-huh.
And then it disappeared, and you tagged with Saturn, and you and him tagged big man tag team for a year there, and
Yep.
then all of a sudden, and then you went and did Ghostmaker by yourself again,
Hmm.
scaring the students that were making their debuts. You were in the ring to work with, and
Yeah.
then now, like you said, going back to Leo, you were there with now Leo, and
Hmm.
that's the whole gimmick again. Back to the scary
Yeah, it's kind
Ghostmaker.
of like it's gone full circle.
Yeah.
The first time I ever did a the Ghostmaker, where that's what I was introduced as, that's the character. Um, it was the name of the demon that I possessed myself with to beat Zodiac or something. And that was also like the third time I possessed myself with a demon to fight Zodi. So I you really never know what's going to stick, what's going to work until you just do it. And that's why I was saying, well, we will figure out what this ending in December is going to be, and then I'm not gonna do the whole next year's gonna be my year, but next year we're going to see things out of me that even I won't be able to expect right now. So I'm
Right.
really
And
looking
that's
forward to a lot of good things and getting to finish this fitness and weight loss and fix my spine journey deal.
you don't want to be a question mark the rest of your lives with the sun for sure. All right. So I'm happy to see that you're improving. I mean, we've talked about this on our personal conversations, that where you've came from in different areas of your life, being mental, be it physical, you push through it all day in, day out, harder than a lot of these guys will even understand. You know, and like you said earlier, wrestling can take a toll mentally and physically on you, and a lot of people do not. A lot of fans don't realize that.
So a lot of the
Uh,
fans like to invest in, like, the ones that are like, wrestling's everything they do. It's how they make their money. It's how they make their bills, and then they get let all the way in, and sometimes they see, but then it's these moments, uh, like our conversation, where it's just you can finally see the inside when we let you, type deal.
right, right, and it shows there's a mutual respect. And fans
Hmm.
say they respect the business, but they don't understand it. You know, I've learned a lot the last couple of years sitting in meetings with you guys and girls, with Ronnie and Tony, and talking about different things, and it's even opened my eyes. And I've been a fan for 45 years. You know, I mean, and I thought I knew a lot. So, anyways, let's get ready to close up for the evening, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's
Got
fine.
dinner to eat. Like I said, I was running late this evening, so it pushed everything for me behind.
Yeah, that's
But
not a problem.
let the fans know where they can find you. With any last parting words, anything like that, you can go ahead. Let the floor is open again.
Yeah, so definitely keep an eye out on the Generation Next shows. You'll definitely more than likely see me announced a couple more times this year. You can catch me at Grindhouse Professional Wrestling every fourth Sunday of the month. So we used to say every last Sunday, but some months have five. Every fourth Sunday, just open the calendar, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's when Grindhouse is going down. You'll catch me at every last one of those through the rest of the year. I am working on a project right now. I've done one interview. I'm not sure how I'm going to progress from there, but I actually think, and I'm sorry if I'm about to plug something on your show. It doesn't even have a name yet, so don't worry. But I think I'm going to, after us talking about um, my stuff and then other conversations with John Cosper about things with the book, I think I'm going to move forward. Um, I don't want to call it a podcast, but it might be an interview series that might be quarterly, something, definitely not weekly. But I'm going to get on and have other wrestlers get on, and we're going to talk about mental health and wrestling, either getting us through it, or getting through it to get back to professional wrestling, how it helps, how it doesn't help, all the ins and outs. Um, there's definitely a bunch of people that I would like to get on there. I know there's a bunch of people that do the promos, like you mentioned, that I do, where I work my trauma or whatever's wrong for the day if I need to vent, or if I'm getting really creative and I'm trying to force myself through some from like some contact therapy, exposure therapy. I'll put it in my promo and make it a whole 8 minute skit. You see Larkin do that all the time. There were several times where you would actually almost see us kind of going through the same thing or almost complaining about the same thing in certain promos if you were paying enough attention to the way we tell stories. But so yeah, I will be moving forward with that. In part of, as I was talking about, you will see more of what no one, including myself, could have expected out of me next year. So I'll have my own little talk show
Hey,
gimmick here too.
that's what I was going back to what I said earlier. We've discussed your mental health through this.
Hmm.
Yeah, as we did in this conversation, and like I said in personal conversations, we've talked about this a few different times.
Hmm.
So That's not surprising, and it's not nothing wrong with you plugging that because that's something that, in my opinion, is needed. Because what I said, nobody talks about the mental toll it all
Yeah.
takes. Not
There
just
there are some people that talk about it, and I don't want to take away from them and say that they don't exist, but they kind of more just make it more their own presentation, where I want to make it a conversation. So not just an
exactly.
individual issue and how it affects you, but have a conversation with someone about how mine affects me, how yours affects yours, and how both of ours have, affected or done whatever interacting with everyone else in the business. And uh, all
That's
that stuff.
commendable. That's very commendable.
But yeah, so I'll make some kind of announcements on that when there's actually a name and some kind of actual plan. But that is in the works for next year.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. I hope you enjoy yourself. I know I did.
Thanks for having me. It was a
Um,
blast.
again, this will be shared on YouTube and TikTok as well. Facebook, unfortunately, does delete the videos after 30 days. I will try to upload those back up as time allows. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Everyone have a safe night. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Drew. Have a great evening.
Have a good one.